Welcome back to the Micro Advice Podcast. Today, our spotlight is on Lunch Club, an AI relationship curator that is a game changer in the way we professionally network. To learn more about this, we're here today with Niki Choo, Head of Business Development at Lunch Club. Niki, thanks so much for taking the time to be here today.
Thanks so much, Jim. Really happy to be here.
Oh, fantastic. Niki, so I know Lunch Club has grown significantly during the COVID pandemic. Personally, I'm an avid user of the platform and have engaged with dozens of professionals around the world using the Lunch Club platform, most of whom I otherwise probably wouldn't have come across. So I'd love to hear your perspective as an insider, and maybe you could talk a little bit about your views on business development and what you're doing at Lunch Club from a BD perspective. So I say, let's just start with what are you doing at Lunch Club from a BD perspective?
Yeah, great question, Jim. And it's been a really exciting 5 or 6, and coming on, whatever it is, 7 months of COVID. Lunch Club before COVID was an in-person service. So we would make one-on-one relevant matches for business conversations in person. And as soon as March hit, we went virtually or to a virtual platform, and our growth has just skyrocketed. We've grown 10x since January, which we're really excited about. Our non-tech sectors have grown 30x since January. And so for me at Lunch Club, I really am responsible for unscalable growth. So that involves anything from partnerships. We're working with several universities to bring Lunch Club to either their alumni or their student body, because in this age of COVID, there is a lot of student engagement and alumni engagement comes from in-person meetings. And right now, a lot of universities are not doing things like that. We're also right now working on an initiative around conferences. You probably can guess that a lot of the benefit of people going to conferences involves networking. And now that a lot of conferences are virtual, it's really hard to make and find the right people to talk to. Whereas before, you could kind of be in a room with 50 other people and mill about and figure out who the right person is. And in a virtual setting, that's virtually impossible. So we're really excited about the future to help people connect in a world like this.
That's fascinating. And you had mentioned working with conferences and universities as partners. So whenever you are seeking a good partner for, what are the sorts of things you're doing to build these, and what does success look like to you?
The way we think about it is our primary objective is to make a really good match. So anytime that organization, be it universities, conferences, even we've been approached by some corporate alumni groups to do one-on-one matching is kind of our sweet spot. And so anyone who cares about networking as a means for knowledge transfer, career advancement, plainly just to get someone else's perspective or advice on something, are the areas in which we excel. And you can imagine that several different bodies prioritize that as a way to create value for their either users or their organization.
Wow, that's great. So based on your insight, what do you see your users may need for utilizing the platform? You had mentioned a little bit about connection, but through your product research and other development activities, have you seen other needs sprouting up around the usage of Lunch Club?
It's a really interesting question. I think it's something we're still trying to evaluate, where we'll make an initial connection, but there's oftentimes 3 or 4 conversations that happen afterwards. And we recently got an email from a user who had a Lunch Club meeting, and, they sort of joked around that they had this love of biking in common. And so they were just going to, waste the 45 minutes talking about biking. And then at the very end of the call, one of them mentioned oh yeah, we're also trying to find a nonprofit to sponsor an initiative they were doing around biking. And the other person was like, oh, well, I sort of help out with this other organization that provides food for malnutrition kids in Nigeria. And so 2 or 3 months later, it ended up being that the one person supplied almost 16,000 kids with food because of their connection on Lunch Club. And so to us, we don't sometimes get to hear what the end result of some of these meetings are, but it is really cool to hear that people are using it in like very diverse ways and just helping each other out. I think in the spirit of Lunch Club and what we really try to encourage is giving conversations and empathetic conversations. So I know whenever I have a Lunch Club meeting, which I try and do at least once or twice a week, is ask like, how can I help? And I think in the spirit of Lunch Club, it's just really nice to hear that people are willing to trade ideas, to give advice, to help someone out, to make an introduction, those kinds of things.
That's an amazing story. I love hearing those. And I had come across Lunch Club from a friend of mine where, as you may imagine, I'm extroverted and miss the networking activities in person. He was seeking a co-founder and referred me to join Lunch Club in order to continue that professional network building. And the rest is history after conversation after conversation. That's amazing. Niki, something that I thought of during your last explanation is, as you're hearing these user stories, how are you integrating some of the feedback back into the platform to maybe tweak it or hit a broader audience?
Yeah, so we originally started with asking our users around their shared interests or their objectives for the week. So because we sort of had our beginnings in tech, a lot of the questions we were asking were around tech focused initiatives. And so over the last couple months, we've really expanded what those objectives and or interests are, so that instead of just being tech focused, like you're not looking for a designer or an engineer, let's say you're looking to talk to someone in politics, those are available to you.
Oh, that's fantastic. So in addition to being a former company co-founder, now head of BD for another new high-rising company, what advice do you have for the listening audience who may be looking to grow their professional networks using this tool, or other tactics you may have seen work in your past?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my career path has been pretty serendipitous. I've generally followed my interests, which I think is a way to have sustained interest in what you're doing and sustained enthusiasm. So I'm really passionate about like creating the best product for people and really ensuring that the product that we're creating has benefit to a human at the innate level. So like, does this product help a person's well-being? Like the answer is yes. If I were to think about Facebook and the erosion it has on people's well-being and their self-esteem, like that's not a product that I would necessarily want to put out in the world. But I feel really strongly that Lunch Club is building a product that helps the world in a positive way. And so I think if someone is using Lunch Club, they also probably share that enthusiasm around human connection and curiosity, and really like understanding and having empathetic responses and like listening really well to what someone is saying. And I think if someone is using it to advance their career, like all those characteristics around listening, curiosity, empathy are really important. And so honestly, I would just say like, give us a try, test out the algorithm to see if the person on the other end is someone you want to engage with. And I would almost guarantee that you'll learn something new. And I think that's kind of the beauty of a Lunch Club meeting.
Oh, here. And I will be a personal testimony to that, where I've met a lot of different folks across those there were tech co-founders, some were working at nonprofits, some were venture capitalists, and everyone in between. And it has been amazing experiences learning something from each one of those people. Niki, last question for you today, and then I'll let you get back to work. What is the future of Lunch Club, and where do you see it going based on user feedback or just some vision? Can you give us a little insight or a few tidbits of where the platforms may be headed?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're primarily focused on creating the best connection possible. So Vlad, our CEO, often tells the story of what if Jobs had never met Wozniak, like what would have happened? And so I think from our perspective, in 10 years or maybe less than that, it would be really cool if every connection that you make has originated in some form from Lunch Club.
That's awesome. Niki Choo, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. For the listening audience, if you'd like to get in touch with Niki or the Lunch Club platform, I'll put the contact information in the box below. Again, thank you for chiming in to listen. Niki, thank you very much. I really appreciate hearing your insight.
Thanks so much, Jim.
All right. Have a great day and bye-bye for now. We'll see you again right back here soon.